was supposed to be a fairy tale ending for Selena Gomez, as she walked down the aisle in Santa Barbara surrounded by friends, stars, and flashing cameras. But while her dreamy wedding to Benny Blanco had the world celebrating her happiness, there was another story quietly unfolding just days later. Across town, her ex-boyfriend Justin Bieber was spotted for the first time since the ceremony. And what fans saw left everyone asking the same question. Why did Justin look so heartbroken, so pensive, as if the weight of the past had come rushing back all at once? This wasn't just another celebrity sighting, it felt like the latest chapter in one of Hollywood's most talked about love stories, a saga that refuses to fade even years after its supposed ending. And when you look at the timing, the expressions, and the history behind it all, it's hard not to wonder if Selena's wedding stirred up emotions that Justin has tried to bury for years. Justin Bieber's first public appearance after Selena Gomez's wedding immediately caught attention, not because of flashy outfits or a staged paparazzi moment, but because of the quiet sadness written all over his face. On Wednesday, the Peaches hitmaker was seen leaving Voda Massage Spa, and what stood out wasn't the luxury of the location. It was his demeanor. His hands were tucked deep into his pockets, his shoulders slightly slouched, and his eyes seemed fixed on the ground as though he was lost in thought. Dressed down in a printed white shirt layered with an unzipped hoodie, paired with loose denim jeans and colorful sneakers, he looked casual, almost like he wanted to blend into the background. But even in that simplicity, fans noticed something more. A pensive, heavy aura that couldn't be ignored. This wasn't the image of a pop star basking in the glow of fame or fortune, it was the image of someone carrying a quiet storm. And because it was his first sighting since the news of Selena's wedding broke, people couldn't help but connect the dots. Was this simply a man leaving a spa after a long day? Or was it the face of someone silently processing a moment that brought back years of complicated emotions? The timing made it impossible for fans not to wonder. While Justin was spotted leaving the spa with his quiet, almost heavy mood, Hailey Bieber was seen miles away living out a very different kind of moment. On that very same day, the 28-year-old model was photographed in West Hollywood enjoying sushi with a friend. Unlike Justin's downcast expression, Hailey looked relaxed, dressed in her usual trendy yet effortless style, carrying the air of someone unwinding in the middle of the week. At first glance, these might seem like ordinary outings, a husband at a spa, a wife grabbing dinner. But when placed side by side, the optics fueled endless chatter online. Why weren't the Biebers together during a week when the entire world was buzzing about Selena Gomez's wedding? Fans began questioning if the timing meant something more, pointing out how rare it is for Justin and Hailey to be seen going about their lives separately in such visible ways. Social media exploded with theories, some suggesting the couple might be quietly taking time apart, while others speculated it was simply coincidence. But in Hollywood, and especially with a history as complicated as Justin's, very little is ever brushed off as coincidence. The fact that his first appearance seemed somber while hers was social only added to the narrative that maybe, just maybe, Selena's wedding had reopened old wounds, and that each of them was processing it in their own way. Just a few days earlier, Selena Gomez had been living out what many fans described as the most magical moment of her life. Her wedding to music producer Benny Blanco in the sun-kissed setting of Santa Barbara, California. The ceremony was nothing short of a Hollywood fairy tale, filled with warm California air, picturesque backdrops, and a guest list that could rival any award show. Taylor Swift, Selena's closest friend and confidant, was there to support her, her presence alone turning the wedding into one of the most talked about social events of the year. Paris Hilton arrived, adding her touch of glamour, while comedian Eric Andre brought his offbeat charm to the festivities. Even Selena's only Murders in the Building family, Steve Martin and Martin Short, were there to celebrate, blurring the line between TV fiction and real-life joy. For fans, the wedding felt like the perfect ending to years of Selena's ups and downs, the heartbreaks, the battles with health, and the intense scrutiny of her personal life. She walked down the aisle not as the young starlet forever linked to her famous ex, but as a woman starting a new chapter on her own terms. Every detail of the celebration radiated happiness and strength, but the timing of it all meant one thing was inevitable. People would turn their attention to Justin Bieber, wondering how he would react as the world witnessed his former love finding her happily ever after. To understand why Selena's wedding and Justin's somber outing captured so much attention, you have to go back to where it all began. Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez first crossed paths in 2009 through their managers, two teenagers rising in fame and already carrying the weight of global attention on their shoulders. By 2010, whispers of romance were everywhere, and when they finally went public in 2011, attending red carpet events hand in hand, like their unforgettable appearance at the American Music Awards, they instantly became Hollywood's golden young couple. Fans gave them the nickname Jelena, and the world was hooked on every high and low of their roller coaster relationship. But behind the glamour, their love story was anything but simple. They broke up and reconciled multiple times, with each split and reunion making headlines. Paparazzi caught them in tender moments, but also in times of visible tension, feeding the narrative that their relationship was passionate but unstable. Through music, they even seemed to talk to each other, Justin releasing emotional ballads that fans swore were about Selena, and Selena dropping her own heartbreak anthems that fueled speculation. For nearly a decade, their names were inseparable, tied together not just by love, but by the drama that surrounded them. It wasn't until 2018 that the final chapter seemed to be written, when Selena and Justin parted ways for good, leaving fans divided between heartbreak and relief. And yet, as much as both of them tried to move on with their lives, moments like Selena's wedding prove that their history still lingers in the background, refusing to fade quietly into the past. After years of turbulence with Selena, Justin's life seemed to take a turn towards stability in 2018 when he married Hailey Baldwin, now Hailey Bieber. Their courthouse ceremony in New York was followed by a grander celebration in South Carolina the next year, surrounded by family and friends. For many, it was a sign that Justin had finally left his past behind and found someone who could bring peace to his whirlwind world. Hailey was often described as the calming presence in his life, someone who understood the demands of fame, yet offered a grounding sense of normalcy. But even with marriage, the comparisons never stopped. Every time Selena made headlines, whether for a new album, a public appearance, or in this case, a wedding, Justin's name inevitably surfaced alongside hers. And while Justin and Hailey have repeatedly presented a united front, showing love and support for one another, the pressure of being constantly compared to a former relationship has been impossible to ignore. For some fans, Hailey represented a fresh chapter, but for others still clinging to the Jelena narrative, she was seen as the one who came after, always in the shadow of a love story that had captured the public for nearly a decade. Now, with Selena celebrating a fairy tale wedding of her own, the spotlight has once again shifted back to Justin and Hailey, raising questions about how strong their marriage truly is, under the constant scrutiny, and whether moments like these quietly test the foundation they've built together. The moment Justin stepped out looking distant and heavy-hearted, social media lit up like wildfire. Fans dissected every detail of his body language, the way his hands stayed buried in his pockets, the lack of eye contact with cameras, and the subtle slouch in his posture, and immediately linked it back to Selena's wedding. Twitter threads, TikTok breakdowns, and Instagram comment sections were filled with theories, with some claiming Justin's mood was proof that seeing his ex move on still affected him. Others speculated that Hailey's absence from his spa outing, paired with her own sushi date miles away, hinted at hidden tension between the two. A handful of fans even revived the Jelena nostalgia, posting old photos and clips, suggesting that Justin might never truly move past that chapter of his life. But, as is often the case in Hollywood, not everything is as simple as it looks. Some voices pushed back against the rumors, insisting that Justin's expression might have nothing to do with Selena at all, that it could just as easily reflect exhaustion, stress, or a private struggle unrelated to the headlines. Still, the timing of it all, Selena's fairy tale wedding followed almost immediately by Justin's somber public sighting, made it impossible for speculation not to spiral. And the louder the rumors grew, the more people began asking, was this just another case of fans reading too much into a photo, or was there a deeper truth behind the heartbroken image? For those who have followed Justin Bieber's journey closely, his pensive appearance after Selena's wedding didn't come as a complete surprise. Over the years, Justin has been candid about his struggles with mental health, the crushing weight of fame, and the toll that his turbulent past relationships took on him. He has spoken in interviews about feeling lost at times, overwhelmed by the constant spotlight, and even questioning his own sense of purpose, despite having everything the world thought he could ever want. His music has often reflected this inner conflict. Songs like Lonely and Changes exposed a man wrestling with the isolation of celebrity and the scars left by heartbreak. Fans also remember how openly he leaned on faith and therapy during some of his darkest chapters, admitting that he needed stability after years of chaos. Against this backdrop, seeing him appear withdrawn and heartbroken now only reinforces the idea that emotional wounds never fully disappear, especially when they're linked to a love story that played out so publicly. Selena's wedding might not be the sole reason behind his somber look, but for someone who has admitted how deeply personal experiences shape him, the timing makes it easy to see why old emotions might resurface. Whether it was nostalgia, regret, or simply the weight of constant comparisons, Justin's body language seemed to echo the vulnerability he's never been afraid to admit, that even pop stars aren't immune to the pain of looking back on a love that defined their youth. As the dust begins to settle from Selena Gomez's picture-perfect wedding, the spotlight inevitably shifts back to Justin Bieber and the question of where he goes from here. Will he and Hailey continue to present the united, resilient front they've built over the past 6 years of marriage? Or will the echoes of his past with Selena keep creeping into the narrative, no matter what they do? Some believe this could mark a turning point, a chance for Justin to truly close that chapter once and for all, proving that he's moved beyond the Jelena saga that has followed him for over a decade. Others argue that with Selena's wedding now cementing her happily ever after, the comparisons may only grow louder, with every glance, outing, or expression from Justin scrutinized as if it's connected to her. For Hailey, this moment may also bring new challenges, living in the shadow of a relationship that the public refuses to let go of, even when both parties have moved on. The question is less about whether Justin and Hailey are strong enough to withstand the chatter. They've proven time and again that they can. And more about whether the outside world will ever allow them to exist without the constant comparisons. In the end, what comes next is not just about Justin processing his emotions or Hailey standing by his side, but about whether fans and the media are willing to finally let go of a love story that ended years ago. Until that happens, every wedding, every sighting, and every solemn look will keep fueling speculation, leaving Justin caught between the life he's built and the past that refuses to fade. In the end, what we saw was a striking contrast. Selena Gomez stepping into a new chapter of joy and celebration, surrounded by friends and love, while Justin Bieber quietly walked into the spotlight looking weighed down by something far heavier. Whether his pensive demeanor was truly linked to his ex's wedding, or simply a fleeting moment caught by cameras, the timing was impossible to ignore. For fans, it became a reminder of just how deeply entwined Justin and Selena's stories have been, and how even years after their final breakup, echoes of their past still seem to ripple into the present. Hailey's separate outing only added to the intrigue, fueling speculation about where the Biebers stand and whether old emotions might still linger beneath the surface. But perhaps the bigger story here is not about what Justin felt in that moment, but about how the world refuses to let go of a love story long ended. As Selena begins her married life with Benny Blanco, the chapter of Jelena should, in theory, be closed. Yet every headline, every photograph, and every somber look suggests that in the eyes of the public, it never really ended. And maybe that's the reality of fame. Some stories aren't allowed to fade quietly, no matter how much those involved try to move forward. The question now is whether Justin can truly find peace in the life he has built with Hailey, or if the ghost of the past will continue to follow him every time Selena steps into a new beginning.